Which one?
Lab, the black lab?
Yeah, I just finished that one yesterday.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So this is the 244p new pastel that I'm starting with. Good old 244p. And like, let there be blue sky. Nice and fresh.
I don't speak pastel. What is that?
It's a gray.
That's the
it's a
color,
It's
right?
a dark Portland warm gray in
Okay.
pastel world. This is the color.
Okay.
That's
I
that.
bought that.
And that's how you
They're all
talk about
numbers.
pastel with numbers?
Yes, isn't it so not artsy? Let there be some nice blues. Now down here it starts to get a little bit lighter, so I'm
I
gonna
guess
use some
little
lighter.
kids can't use pastels because they don't know numbers.
I wish that they had. Now all brands have numbers, right? Or no?
I'm
Pretty
trying
sure
to
they
think,
do,
I
but
don't
you
know.
just don't refer to
I
them.
think they do.
The
I want to
pencils
say they
have.
do.
I'm sorry, did you say where that one was? Where this?
Oh, where's this one again? Provincetown.
Oh, you took that one, right, I
This is what
forgot you
she's
said
working
that,
on.
right, I
Yep.
forgot you said you were gonna do that.
But I think, like the Terry Ludwigs and everything,
Those I think still have numbers and letters.
yeah, I think they have numbers too.
And they have to confuse us with numbers and letters, just like.
I've
the
never bought
pastel.
one separately.
I haven't either.
I just bought
I
sets.
think. I mean, it makes sense because otherwise they're gonna have like so many different names, and it's gonna be a little bit more
And
confusing.
people actually walk around with these numbers in their heads?
I don't.
Well,
Andrew
I
does.
just know one number, and I always spit out that one number, so it makes me sound more knowledgeable.
Well, it
So
sure
you're
does the
using
job
all
done
the
on me,
side,
I'll tell you.
all the
I am.
side,
It's actually
okay.
I call it the magic edge.
So only for landscapes, do
Oh,
you,
I do for everything.
for everything you just do the edge?
Except for details, and I use like the corner, or since I just got my pastel pencils, I've been a little obsessed with those.
For the details.
Like little hairs or little things like that.
What are pastel pencils?
Pastel pencils, they are pastel in pencil form, like that kind of a thing. Yeah. So they're nice to have.
How do you sharpen it? They don't like crumble away when you sharpen them?
Not unless you drop them on the floor and they're crumbled internally.
I bought a set of those recently, and then I bought the suggested sharpener
Oh,
that
How does
they
that
said
work?
to buy with it.
I just used the one over here.
Use an electric sharpener, really? I would think it would eat them.
I didn't have a manual one and I needed it sharpened. It worked. So, you know. All right, so a lot of purple and pink in those clouds to start, because you could always neutralize. You could always calm it down. And I call always this stage the melted rainbow stage, because you want to infuse your color right off the bat. Now with paint, it's a little trickier because, you know, it's smushy mushy and you have to blend it. But with pastel, you can always layer on top. Same thing with colored pencil. You can layer calmer colors on top and still maintain your hidden color. Let's see.
So here you don't do like on some of the like watercolor. You don't do like light to dark or dark to light. You're putting everything in.
I usually do my darks first, but when I do clouds, I do them in a completely different way than I
Okay.
normally
I'm
do
trying to
everything
figure out
else.
rules from watching you.
Well,
There's no
rules
rules.
are meant to be broken. So
Because I see you're putting in the very light as well as the very dark at kind of the same time.
yeah, and I am. I put in the dark of the clouds first, and then I did put in the light and the blue sky because I wanted to say this is where you're gonna live. Don't worry,
Okay.
I won't lose you. Because with clouds, sometimes they get lost. Sometimes they get overwhelmed.
Right.
Everything is
So
constantly
if I
always.
was using colored pencils, would I do that same thing for
You can.
clouds? Because I do have a photograph I was thinking of doing
Yeah.
the light and the.
You can definitely do it that way. I mean, some people like to start with the lights, some people like to start with the darks, but there's no, I don't want to say there's a right or a wrong. There's just a way that works better for you. And for me, with clouds, put it all in at once.
Okay.
This one is the only other one I know the number of, 245p. It's right next to 244p. And it's just a bluer gray. It's like brown, blue, and white in oil land or acrylic land.
Now with pastels, the letters on the end, on the other ones, the letters in the front.
I don't know anything about even what the letters mean, so I cannot give you
So
insight
the
on
letters
that.
as opposed to the numbers, you're saying?
Well, the numbers I'm sure are more like
Well, in the
labeled.
pencils, it's a P something or other, P101 or something like that.
For what, colored pencil?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I know Prismacolors go by
I'm not sure. As
names.
soon as you say that, I
In other words, no. Prismacolors go by names, but they might have a number. You know what? No, you're right. You're right.
Be still my heart.
They do have a number on it, and I think that's just for people that don't remember the name, maybe, or maybe for like.
The number is easier to remember.
It's right before the name.
I
It's
like
right
the
before
names.
color.
Yes, you're right. It's like P204 or something like that. You're exactly right. But I just goes to show that I don't use the numbers because I didn't even realize that they were there. So I'm also varying my pressure, by the way. I am pushing very lightly right now because I don't want it to be very heavy with my gray. And over here I'm pushing very lightly, or a little bit harder because I want it to be a little bit stronger with my gray. And this paper can take a beating. It can take a good amount of layers. So that's why I have the power of the push working for me. And I'm still using that side, not the flat side, but that magic edge that binds the two sides together. Whatever that is called, I don't know. The magic edge is what I call it.
Like not the flat part.
Like
in
this,
between.
that line.
Ah,
like
okay.
the parts with the white on it.
sides come together.
The magic
Ah,
edge.
very interesting.
For me, it just is what works
Huh.
best. Sometimes people are like, this is weird, I can't do this. Then don't. Yeah, I mean, it's not like the way to do it. It's just how I usually use it because I think of it like, and you guys always see me do like painting demos where I use a flat or an angle brush because I can get a broad stroke or a thin stroke in one, like I don't have to change my hand orientation. So with that, I find it's really helpful. And that's probably, I literally just made that connection just now. That's probably why I use the magic edge a lot because I'm so
That makes
gravitating
sense.
towards the flat and angle brush. See? I just noticed something. That's like when I was using the colored pencils and I like constantly rotate the pencil and someone said, why do you do that? And I had to think about it. Why am I doing this? So if you guys don't ask questions, I won't be able to further assess my, like, why am I doing this stage? All right, so now I have everything plopped, but now I want to start to make things a little bit more filled in because we have all this kind of, I call it static looking texture. And to me, it drives me crazy. But to you, you might say, oh, I like that. If you like that, then you're done. You can move on. But if you don't like that, and if you want to have be a little bit more filled in, then this is the
But why
stage
aren't you
that you're
doing the
gonna do.
water first?
Why am I doing the water first?
No,
Or-
why aren't you moving down
Oh,
to the
I like
water
to-
before you continue in the
I like
sky?
to do background to foreground. So I want to kind of get the sky handled a little bit more before I move on to the ocean. But then again, there's no right or wrong.
'Cause they look so
Rough.
similar.
They
You
do.
know, one flows into the other.
They do. And I will use all these colors down here as well. And you can definitely do it that way where you plop and plop simultaneously. I feel, I guess it's more for demo purposes, where if I am doing something where maybe on my own I can plop it simultaneously, I feel like for a demo, if I do it all kind of sky first, you guys see it a little bit better because you're seeing the whole process in one step, I guess. Does that make sense? You can tell me now. No one's gonna say it.
It's fun.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you gonna put all those little boats in there?
Oh, yeah. That's the best part. It's just like literally you're talking about a soft pastel with dot, 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 dot. That's it.
Do you ever blend anything?
Now, sometimes I'll use my finger, sometimes I don't. I will use my finger a little bit in a few sections here and there, not everywhere. The background of this dog, I use my finger. This one, I did not use my finger at all. This one, I actually did the rubbing alcohol base first, which is a whole nother technique. So I put down some color and then I took rubbing alcohol and it turned into paint. And then it was like an underpainting. And then from
What
there,
color was the?
it was like a white paper. And I didn't want white paper, so that's why I did the underpainting.
No, so what color did you use? You
For the
didn't use-
underpainting,
Yeah.
I used, I think it was 244p. There's a demo on my YouTube, and no one's talking in the background. That person's taking the Thursday class next semester.
I won't be here next month.
That's right, you won't. So yeah, that particular demo of the the rubbing alcohol thing is on.
Has that
My
person
YouTube.
taken classes here before, or just, because
Not
that one I
here.
think was at your house, that I was referring to. when I
The
mentioned it.
this demo
Yeah.
is at my house. The one you watched is at the Hunter and Art Museum.
Oh, okay, so that person's
Was
taking
that
a
one
class
maybe?
here next term?
Yes.
With the alcohol,
Do
you
we not
spray
wanna
the
be in that
paper
class?
and then you start.
It's
rubbing.
I was being mean.
Oh.
She posted a video and,
With the
and she
rubbing
had
alcohol, you actually spray the paper
somebody
first and then you
that was
work
just
on the paper?
needed to be
No,
heard at
you
every moment.
draw and then take a
So
paintbrush, dip it in, and
distracted.
squiggle it around.
I don't know how you didn't just
Dip
tell
it
me
in
to shut
the
up
alcohol.
at some point, because
What?
it was
She's so
very-
You dip it in the alcohol?
And she
Yeah.
was like,
Uh,
you know,
And you
It didn't
say that
bother
makes
me.
it paint, it makes it
What?
like
Being
paint?
critical?
no, just saying
It just
stupid
turns it
things,
into
like
paint.
just an ongoing like
With the
vomit
alcohol's
of
a
stupid
binder?
things that just, it
Or
just didn't stop. It was like a
Dissolve
25-minute
whatever
video.
binder's in there.
I had to
Yes.
stop watching.
It just
couldn't-
turns
Oh
the
my
powder
goodness.
into
Well, she
watery
should know
paint
that if
that
she's
adheres to the
posting it,
paper.
it's gonna be
Pasting, I guess.
annoying to people.
Yeah, but she was talking.
Does it
She was
dry
explaining
quickly? I
it.
guess it
It
does.
does.
Alcohol
People
does.
should
It
be able
does.
to hear that.
I never would have
To me,
thought
I
of
didn't
that.
mind.
I never would've
Maybe I'm
thought
used to them. All right.
Did you ever try it with pencil?
What kind of pencil? Graphite pencil?
Well, like Prismacolors.
I have not, because the Prismacolors I don't think are going to be, now I'm gonna use my finger a little bit. The Prismacolors I don't think would react to the rubbing alcohol, but I honestly don't know the answer to that full question, because I've never done it. But I have done graphite powder and charcoal powder and added water to it and painted with that, and it's so fun.
See, once you start using your fingers, I feel like you
Graphite
have to do
powder
the
and,
whole
and what
area.
was the other one? Charcoal powder?
Charcoal powder, yep, and graphite powder.
So happy you're using your finger.
I'm gonna use my
'Cause
finger,
I
but
use
then I'm
mine
gonna
a
go
lot.
back. I'm not gonna leave it as this soft. But then I'm gonna go back and, cause look, it's not soft. There's like some
Spikes.
crisp, yeah, like that spiky thing you did on yours. You liked your spiky
Yeah, I
thing.
did, but on top of the finger stuff.
I'm gonna finger stuff. You know, we're gonna finger stuff together. Cause I know everyone was asking about the finger stuff.
So you're saying sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't, depending on your mood.
It depends on if it will benefit me. Now, a lot of pastels, they say don't use your finger, but I'm like, you know what?
I like how that's look. This you used your finger, right?
But that's like now it's dirty, and this is why a lot of pastels don't. Because look at my fingers. If I put that here,
Right.
ew, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So now, since I've smudged,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say, okay, let there be some stronger light
clean.
and the clean and maybe some crisp edges. Because back up in here, it's cleaner, it's brighter, it's more crisp, it's a
You
little bit
didn't
more
smush.
lively. Because there's more contrast over here. And I did smush here, but I don't want to stay super smushed.
All these terms.
No, I know what you mean,
Technical terms that I know.
because that's crisper, it looks brighter, it looks like the sunshine.
Yes, because when you use your finger, it diminishes.
Right,
You know, it's
right.
almost like you're vacuuming up a lot of the powder,
But I really like it when it's you the finger and then
and then this
the
on
stuff
top.
on top.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
nice
that's
that
a
way.
great.
It's a nice blend of soft and hard, and that actually goes really nicely too when you're doing like oil painting or things like that, because your eye's going to go to crisper edges, and your eye's going to not go to softer edges first. So you have control on what you want your viewer to see
That's
initially.
interesting.
Soft edges recede, hard edges come forward. So you could say, I want the person to go straight here. And then maybe when I do the bow, I wouldn't make it so like crisp and hard edged. And plus, I mean, my eye doesn't go to the bow anyhow because it's not as contrasted. My eye goes up here anyhow because of that contrast. So
The brightness.
yes, lights next to darks. So
Of course, you could go wash your hands.
I could, but I have a whole nother hand. I got 3 clean fingers still and toes.
I know, I wish I brought my pastels.
Oh, next week.
You make it look so appealing. Yeah, maybe next
We have 2 weeks. Next week will be our grisaille painting, and then the week after that will be our, I haven't decided yet.
Next week is what?
Next week is grisaille painting.
What are you doing the subject for that?
I haven't decided yet.
What is grisaille? Is that a color?
It's, okay, so like in a really short sentence form, it is a monochromatic painting with transparent glazes layered on top.
Wow,
to create a full painting. My husband works that way. A lot of old masters used to work that way. It's a wonderful, very controlled way to develop a full color piece, which is great, especially if you're scared of color. Notice all my strokes are horizontal. Let's look some darks in. This is one of the Terry Ludwig ones. Don't ask
I
me the
have
number.
some, I know,
That's
I
the
have some of
soft.
those,
Mhm.
but I was gonna get, I don't know, I think I have to get another one of those
Man.
intense darks.
It's a lovely dark. This
It
is
is
a more of a
beautiful.
blue dark. This one here is more of a purplier dark.
I have her purple, his purple, that all purple.
Yeah, this one, yes. Oh, good, you have the all purple one. Nice. Now, I don't really see too much purple down here, but come on. Gotta have purple.
You're gonna fix that.
We're gonna definitely infuse some purple in there. There's this nice little dark bit of land up here. The darks just make everything so much stronger. This is another Terry Ludwig.
Do all the pastels start out that fat?
No.
That's just that brown.
Your starter set for pastels would be the new pastels, which are all these ones. And the sets don't have the wrappers on them, so you don't have to worry about the wrappers. Because the wrappers can get annoying.
Mhm.
They are so annoying. I see some green in there. Where is some green? I don't like that green. Let's go with this green.
Sounds like a Terry Ludwig, you should just get some of the isolated colors
Yes.
rather than whole
Yeah.
sets.
I mean,
I think it's easier to do the stats, like, it's hard to pick out.
because they're all so
They're
wonderful.
yeah. And they're also similar too, like, the sets like give you a good,
The sets are great. If you can
Yeah.
get a set, then, I mean, if you can get the whole set, if you have an
Well,
extra
I've looked at the site,
$3,000.
that would be, yeah, a gazillion colors. So what's a good,
It's huge.
I like these dark blacks, so what would be a good set to get that would include
The
those?
darks, they have a darks set.
You
they have
basically get
two intense darks,
intense,
one and two.
intense darks.
And they're
one
each
two.
$144.
For the one little thing?
16.
Yeah, like this is half of a stick,
Wow.
and the
Oh
stick
my
itself costs
God.
$5, and this is half of it.
So if
And
you-
if you drop
$5,
it,
but
it
you're
breaks into a
saying-
million pieces.
Wait, how much are you saying?
The intense darks, I think, is 16 sticks that are about this big. 144 at the site that I was on.
So if there's two sets,
Maybe there's
one and
20,
two, and you wanna just get one set.
That's why I didn't get that set, because I didn't know which. I think I like two better than one, but I couldn't decide. I have a lot of pastels that I really don't need anymore. I should be able to.
They are very addicting.
Yeah, they are.
Once
They're
you start
really
buying
nice.
them, because I used to only have the new pastel set when I first started pastels, and I was like, I want to get into pastels. What do I do? Here's my set. So I worked with them, and then I started calling companies and saying like, hey, I'm an instructor. Do you guys like have some samples that you could send to me? And they did. So I started noticing like all these different ones that I did like, and ones I didn't like, and ones that were good for this or that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's how I ended up
And
with
then they hope
mine.
that you'll recommend them to people.
Well, yeah, that too. I mean, they didn't send me like huge things. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know one of them, I forget what company it was, but it was like they gave me the ones that weren't rolled properly. Like they were a little like
But you could
deformed.
still,
Oh, they were
drop.
fine to me. I mean, it had like a little like nick in it, or like a little hole or
Ah.
something. I was like, I will always take these. These
Oh,
are
yeah.
You
fine.
can buy second.
free is good.
Well,
Yeah, that would be
if you
cool,
email the
so-
company and ask them for a sample, and if
Would
you're an
you
instructor, that's what I did.
But we're not,
I
You're an
mean,
instructor.
you could probably pull off something.
oh, look at that, that's, oh,
That's a
that was
pretty
beautiful
pink.
what you just did.
Purple and
That's, this
pink.
pink was the regular, right, new pastel?
no, this one is actually here. Try it on here. Feel the pumiciness versus the new pastel, and you could hear it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like sandy.
So this is a different company, not the soft.
That is,
not
and
the-
I don't know what company that is. I forget.
beautiful
It's one that I
color.
could care less about. 'Cause I'm not a
Yeah.
huge fan of it, so I'm not even gonna
It's a pretty
tell you
color.
about it because I don't really want you guys to go out and get them. A little bit more warmth. Now, sometimes if your color's too warm, what you can do then is just top it off, just like you would with paint. If your color is too yellow on your palette, you would just add more white or whatever color you want it to morph it into. Here, I just put the color right on top because I know my paper can take a good amount of power. It can take a good amount of pastel. So, eventually your paper will start to say, get off of me, but it's not there yet. It does talk. It says, I'm not going to take your pastel anymore, and you can go somewhere else. But that's okay. So here I can use a little bit of finger, a little back and forth. Back here it's more smush, down here it's more crisp. So just like I did with the clouds, now I'm going to go in and refine some areas that I see as being a little bit sharper. I see it being warmer than how I have it. I was using a plain white, but this is a creamy white. The new pastels are a harder pastel, so sometimes they just can't go on top of a lot of already soft pastels. The soft pastels create a little bit more of a barricade. So the hard pastels don't really have anything to adhere to. So I'm using now a soft cream pastel. So it is nice to have a blend of soft and hard pastels. And it's hard to kind of describe the feeling when you put it on and it doesn't adhere. I'll try to think of an analogy that probably won't make any sense, but at the moment, I can't think of any. And then we have some sky colors down here. I'm using very light touch with my blue. Notice I didn't put the boat in yet, but I will. We'll do it now. So I have this beautiful kind of like purpley magenta color. Let's put in our little boat.
Colors are beautiful altogether.
Now,
They're
this
really
is where
nice.
this soft Terry Ludwig comes in well, because you can get it on top
Yes.
nicely.
Yes. But let's see. This is a black new pastel. Let's see if it will. Yes, it still has some power with it.
Terry Ludwig aren't the only soft pastels.
There's a lot. Everyone should go look at your box.
No, I have a lot of the Mount Vision.
Yeah, but those are like the sparkly fun ones.
Oh, the sparkling ones are good. No, those are,
Those aren't Mount Vision?
I think some of them are, but then there's that other one that are ones that are really soft, that like literally crumble in your hands if you're not careful.
Yeah, which ones are those?
I forget.
Oh.
I have a wrapper on them.
Okay.
So.
I had a few like those, and like this is what's left
Yeah, you
in
probably-
there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's sparkly. It's pearlescent. But they're not really ideal. I wouldn't recommend them, and I wouldn't get them again. You would get them again?
I love them.
No, they're fantastic. I just got so sad when
Which
like,
ones?
they died. This one in here.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, look what you did with that green.
Well, there's a very.
Yeah, I didn't see that green in there.
It's probably not that
You're
green.
gonna mute it.
The windshield.
Yeah, there's stuff breaking it up, but it will get that slight little tint to the window. That
Did
is
you make
needed.
copies of this picture?
I can make copies. I'm hoping they're.
Are you gonna do those
Things
white
work.
boats in the back or
Yes.
without? Yeah.
That's like the sprinkles on top.
Yeah.
Those are so exciting. This one's very soft too. This is I believe it's a Sennelier one. Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of this thing,
It's
personally.
not necessary.
just
I
leave
don't,
it out.
I'm
It
just
won't
not gonna
make
put
it
it
look
in.
more like a boat.
Yeah, so, we don't need that. And I'm not gonna use any of my pastel pencils because I'm just not. So we're gonna creep in, make our shadow look a little, or our reflection I should say, look a little bit more reflection-like by just dragging some horizontal lines into our dark. Just like actually back there, how you can see how I have some of the dark and light in my dock reflection back there. This hard pastel is actually moving a lot of the soft pastel out of the way too. I love this color here, and I don't know what it is anymore. And it makes me sad, and I don't even know what brand it is. Once it's gone, it's gone. Very upsetting. Okay, let's put in some of these bright guys back here. So we're gonna say boat 1, boat 2, here's another blob for a boat, a lot of boats. Over here they'll have like a little party. I'm using a warm white. And you know what, now that I'm looking at it, there's a very, very faint land line way back here. It's barely there. It just separates the sky and the water just a little bit. Now there's all these beautiful masts that I'm definitely wanting to put in as well. So it's
I
okay.
need this lower.
There's a nice big boat over here. So right now I'm just kind of plopping where I see them. We're going to turn that into a cluster. I'm not trying to copy exactly what's there because I will go nuts. Now I do see little, what do I see? Oh, there's a dock. What do you know? I didn't see that until just then. The benefit of working on the iPad. So I'm going to put in a little line of something. Just cause. And now I want to do all of my masts. So I have to find an edge on here, my little magic edge. So that way I can create little lines.
Wow.
So you're not using the pure white for those?
Nope, this is still that cream, because it's white in warm light.
But that's a soft pastel?
This is actually, I believe it's a new pastel. It is adhering fine to it. At least I think it is.
I mean, it looks like it, but
It's a point.
It has the sides. It's very worn though, so. Let's see, I see a little bit more of a, where's my 245p? There it is.
What do you do with these little ones? Do you frame the little
They sit in a
ones
box.
too?
in the
Oh.
studio.
Oh.
And then
It looks beautiful. Like, where would you
I
hang
usually
it?
put them all on my Etsy,
On your what?
my Etsy
Oh,
page.
okay. It would have to be like on a wall where someone can see it up close.
Yeah.
It's like a little, kind of
Mine are
a
all taped to
miniature.
bookshelf.
Like what?
Mine are all taped to a bookshelf.
Taped to a bookshelf.
Taped.
Oh.
I know.
Okay, so here's how you're doing this one.
This one, and actually it's a lot warmer than what I have. There are some intense yellows going on
Did you
in
have
that guy.
glue in your hair?
It was purple. It's
Was
faded.
it permanent or the kind you like put like brush on and it just stays?
Oh, no, it was permanent. That's why it's faded so much. It's,
I love that
Oh.
color. I bought the kind that's not permanent, and I put it on one day, and my kids are like, "No, no,
Oh.
My hair was
people your
very-
age can't have their hair
They
blue."
did not say
I
that.
had very purple hair for a
They
while.
didn't say exactly that, but they kind of implied that. So it's sitting in my cabinet.
That's
and
horrible.
It scares them when you start,
color.
you know.
Yeah,
Just
well,
put
I
it
think
on.
they feel like it's weird.
I remember I once bought this raincoat,
Uh-huh.
and my mother, I was in the closet, one day I see my mother wearing it.
Uh-huh.
And it was just, it wasn't right. for
It
her,
wasn't
was
right,
just-
right. It's like not a mom thing.
No, you're
Oh.
Right.
My kids just kind of shake their head.
Because I feel like I have good hair for it. Like you have curly hair too, and I have that same color. Like
You
mine
should
was
just
blue,
do
but-
it. Make your whole head a whole
If
rainbow
I listened
and
to
then go
everything my
home.
kids tell me I can and can't do, I wouldn't do a lot. My kids just, I don't know, they don't care.
Here's our little reflection. Oh, and you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, there's a reflection of the mast, but it's a smushy reflection, so we're just gonna get rid of that. Oh, and there's one little guy over here. We need 3 because 3 is the magic number, according to Schoolhouse Rock. So we're just gonna put in this dark because it's very silhouette-y. Reflection. There's a little hint of blue on here. I'm gonna use the blue to crispen up some of these edges. There's a little bit of some white, although it's not white in my hand. It's a gray because it's in shadow.
You always make the reflection the same color as the image?
It's usually a darker color.
And you don't make any allowance for being corrupted by the color of the water or?
It depends on like the lighting and everything. It really does. Because this shadow here, there's hints of red in it, which I actually didn't put in. Thank you for reminding me. It's so faint. This is a hard pastel. It's not really getting on there, but it's there. So you almost want to fuse the two together,
Yeah.
the water and the... So at this point, now that I have everything plopped, I could say, all right, well, right back here, there's just blobs of warm boats in light. So what if there were, so maybe this guy has like a dark next to it. Maybe there's something happening with blue. I don't know.
Just to add interest.
Yeah, just to bring a little bit more life back there. There's red things. There's a lot of purple here, but I can add some. All right, we'll do like this purple. How's that?
Well, you're the purple expert.
We'll go crazy purple. Yes, I don't like that ball there. Although it's kind of cool, I don't want to put it in because that's like a lot of work. And then we have these lovely buoys. Look at that. Ooh, all these things. I'm also noticing, plus from zooming in, a lot of the darks aren't that, or a lot of the lights aren't even that light up close to this boat. So I'm going to calm down some of these lights, smush a little, then go back in and lightly crispen up here and there, not everywhere, parts of those areas. So
And what makes it look like water as distinguished from the sky, is it that you're like using those strokes back and forth like that, which you mentioned?
that flat,
Doing, like this
horizontal-
is all directions. And this
Yes.
is all horizontal.
yes.
And also you're kind of going over it with the white to make it like look like reflections rather than that. Is that-
Reflections of the sky and also reflections of the color, but having these horizontal lines does help
the
make it feel
lines
look a
make it
little bit more like
water-like?
water.
Okay.
Yeah. So. So yeah, it's fun stuff. But yeah, I can get this printed if that's okay with Alice, and I will.
Print what, the
I'm hoping their
photograph?
printer works. Did you ever get yours, Erica?
Didn't you print things out
I need
yesterday?
Did
assistance.
oh good, but their printer worked.
Yeah.
Cool. Then yes. And yeah, now it's just kind of like, when do I stop? I could just keep on going, but
Putting
I'm
in
probably
more
gonna stop.
lights and more colors.
Yeah, it's just colors and, like, oh, that's too smooth there. Maybe I'll add some little strokes. Oh, that's too strokey. Smooth it
I
out.
wouldn't mind doing this if you could print out.
I will, yes. I'll make a bunch of copies. That's not it.
I think I'll take a picture.
We'll end there, and then we're just gonna throw our little signature, la 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 la, on there, and that's it. Okay, cool. There we go.
Thank you.